Hi there, my name's Tom and I'm back talking about F1 Fantasy. It's been a little while since I've done one of these team selection videos, so it feels good to be back. It feels a bit weird to be back actually, because I've done one video in the summer break basically where I talked about the wild card and the price changes, shenanigans that are going on, and the absolute chaos that Mr. Hackerman has caused, but I'm not going to be discussing that to any real extent in this video. I just want to focus in on the team selection for Spa, because Spa is coming this weekend. Looks like there could be some rain thrown in the mix because, it's the story of this season. Like, nothing straightforward. And rain, well, you all know what happened at Spa last season. Absolute chaos, and basically there was no race. I don't think it's going to happen this season. The forecast doesn't look quite that bad, but it doesn't look like rain will be playing a part over the weekend, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. At the moment, though, it's only Tuesday as of recording, so the weather forecasts aren't super reliable up until, a few more days' time, so just something to keep an eye on. But anyway, as you can see, I've got my team here. I have, in fact, used the wild card. I'm down to 3 substitutions left. So, yeah, I've used 9 to try and build the budget. Made about $1 million so far. Took a bit of a hit the other night when Hackerman was pulling some strings and lost a load of value of Alfa Romeo. But regardless, I'm sitting at 108.5 million. So I'm going to discuss what I'm doing with my team. I've got a couple of different options that I'm looking at. Bearing in mind, I've only got 3 substitutions left. So regardless if I want to do any more than that, I can't. I have 3 substitutions from this team. So I'm going to be talking about what I'm thinking with that. And at the end of the video, as requested by quite a few of you on the recent post I put out, I will be discussing my thoughts for a budget team. And when I say budget team, I have actually got, I'll show you 2 seconds. Let's just come out of this for a sec. My super budget heroes here, Team 3, I've basically not taken them seriously at all. If we go into them, you can see the budget down here is 102 million. It's like very low budget. So that should hopefully incorporate anyone who's watching this video who has a equally kind of low budget, to try and work out what the best team is. Like, this team is just not even, I haven't really put any thought into this team at all. I've just picked a bunch of drivers that are sub 15 million and just sort of thought I'd see how well they did, and the answer is not well at all. So yeah, we're going to have a look at the budget team towards the end of the video, but I'm going to be looking at the guys that costing the big bucks to start with. I'm going to get rid of this advert because I hate adverts popping up. Boom, done. Yeah, so anyway, if you're new here, please subscribe. I do these videos every race week. We're on to race week 14 now, I believe. It's been so long since we've done a race. Now I'm losing track of the numbers, but we are about 2/3 of the way through the season. So yes, please subscribe for the remainder of the season, and hopefully we'll be continuing this next season, providing everyone's still interested in what I have to say about F1 Fantasy. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. Like I say, this is my team at the moment. One thing I know for almost 100%, I'd say 100% basically, apart from something crazy happening in practice sessions, like Verstappen completely totals his car and it doesn't look like he'll be able to partake in qualifying or something crazy. But one thing I do know basically is that Red Bull will be my constructor this week. I think Red Bull in general across the season have been the most consistent. They are like the fastest car. They're on this race streak, so you get the plus 10 points. They've dropped down 0.4 because of Hackerman shenanigans, so they're a bit cheaper for everyone to access if you haven't already got them. For me personally, I do think Red Bull are just they're kind of setting my team for this race. I think it's really good. I think the Spa track should suit Red Bull. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with the new technical director thing with the flexi floors and all this stuff and the reduction of porpoising. I don't know. I haven't really read too much into the ins and outs of it, but I do know that it may affect Ferrari and Red Bull, and that could be a factor for wanting someone like Lewis Hamilton in your team, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But overall, I still think that the Red Bulls are probably the strongest team, and I still think they offer very good value for money. So therefore, they will be my constructor, barring some natural disaster. Basically, they will be my constructor going into Spa. So I'm not going to say much more about the constructor. I will just say, that Ferrari are an option, but I don't trust Ferrari. They've just really, they've not gone well at all recently. Leclerc has won like one race in like the last 5 or whatever it is. I don't know all the stats off the top of my head, to be honest, but I know Leclerc's form is going. So yeah, Red Bull, just a safe bet for the constructor. Now Lewis Hamilton on this double streak. So lots of people are going to be thinking, do we want Lewis Hamilton? And I'd say there's a strong argument for and against. The strong argument against basically is the fact that he costs lots of money. And also we don't know for sure how strong the Mercedes will be. So do we want Lewis Hamilton when he costs a lot of money and he's sort of an outsider for a podium? However, I will say that I do think Mercedes will be strong around Spa, but particularly that middle sector I think should suit the car. We've seen Mercedes are continuously pumping out upgrades. I don't know exactly if there are going to be any upgrades for Spa exactly until we get a bit more news, because it's all been a little bit quiet during the summer break. But I'm sure we'll hear about any upgrades through the week, so keep a close eye out for that as well. Hopefully, I'll be able to give you a bit more of an update on Friday evening's video. But I do think Mercedes will be strong, and I do think Hamilton is a very solid pick, depending on how else you can shape your team around him, because he is expensive. But we've had Max Verstappen in our teams recently. I in particular had Max Verstappen for the Austria race a couple of races ago, because I wanted to mega drive him, and I think the team with Max Verstappen in there, it worked quite well, and you can get a team that looks like I could just leave my team like this, to be honest. The alternative is switching out the likes of Loris. I can't say his name. Loris is like a slow Loris. I'm sure that's some sort of primate, but anyway, we'll get rid of Lando Norris and bring in Leclerc, Ferrari, panic, and get rid of Stroll and just put him down to like a Schumacher. So with this sort of budget, you can have a team like this, and I do really like the look of this team, to be honest. I have exactly the right budget for this, so any changes coming out if Hackerman influences the market at all, or if there's any slight changes, if Play On unfreeze the market come Friday, Saturday, I might be locked out of the team if I don't go for it early. I do really like the look of this team. I think it's pretty well balanced. Schumacher is kind of my favoured pick for the Haas drivers, just because he's now got the upgrade alongside Magnussen. Schumacher's been on good form recently, and I realise I've just completely gone off topic for I was talking about Lewis Hamilton a second ago, but we're going to go back to Hamilton in a second. But yeah, I do think Schumacher, if you can afford to go up from him, I do think he'd be a good pick. There is some debate as to whether he's going to be racing for Haas next year, and there's rumours of Ricciardo coming into the Haas team, and I do believe Magnussen has got a contract for next year. So Schumacher is potentially, he basically is actually, unless something else is going on behind the scenes, Schumacher's fighting for his seat for next year, potentially. So that should give him more drive and more motivation to do really well, and he has been the inform Haas driver of late, and now he's getting that upgrade. Haas have had the data from Hungary from Magnussen when he drove the upgrade. They've had all summer. I know they've the factories have been shut and everything, but I'm sure someone's been over a laptop somewhere all night, every night for across the summer break, looking at all the data and working out how they can maximise those upgrades. So I do think Schumacher and Haas in general are kind of fine. So yeah, I could definitely see myself going with a team like this. Let's move off Schumacher for a minute and go back to Hamilton. So I just want to say Hamilton's form of late has been very, very strong. In fact, if I go over to the spreadsheet quickly and look at Hungary, he came second, 44 points. We look at France, he came second again, 38 points. We look at Austria, third, 39 points. Silverstone came third, 39 points. Canada came third, 48 points. I do believe there was a streak involved with that. And then also in Baku, came fourth, 26 points. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, for the last 6 races, fourth place is the worst Hamilton's finished. And he's now on a double streak. Let's say worst case scenario, he does come fourth. You're probably looking at, again, the mid 20s in terms of points. You add in the fact that he's on a double streak, which he'll be getting if he finishes fourth, let's face it. That puts him on like the 40-point mark, which is fine. He costs around 30 million. How much is he exactly? He's 30.6 million if you want to buy him in. So getting 40 points for that, that's reasonable value there. So yeah, I do think Hamilton's on good form. I think Mercedes is going to be strong. He's on that double streak. If you can get him into your team without compromising too much, then I would say go for it. There is even, I don't know if I'm getting really ahead of myself, there is even potentially an argument to say mega drive him. There is an argument because he's on the double streak, because of all the reasons I've just said. Hamilton's Mr. Consistent. He very rarely doesn't finish the race. Mercedes themselves are very reliable. I just think everything's sort of in the favour of Hamilton, but I still think Mercedes are potentially not the fastest car. But we'll see what happens in practice sessions. That might change. And also there is this threat of rain, which may or may not hamper mega driver plans. But I do think there is an outside chance, and I think there will be some people out there, maybe you watching this video, maybe there will be some people that are definitely considering and will actually go for the mega driver on Hamilton. And then, you can put the turbo driver on Leclerc, who's on this qualifying streak, to scoop up hopefully an extra few points. But yeah, I do think Hamilton overall is a really good pick this week. I just don't know for sure if he's going to be in my team because of the balance. But I do like it. I do like the look of this team in particular. I've just touched on Leclerc. Ferrari in general scare me. The last few races, their form has just gone downhill. The DNFs, the strategy calls, Leclerc, making that mistake in France. There's just a lot of things going wrong at Ferrari. However, I am willing to give Leclerc another couple of chances. There is still a small chance of him, competing for this World Championship alongside Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen hasn't won it yet. If Leclerc can get a couple of wins over the next race, like the next couple of races, this is a triple header coming up. They are crucial for Leclerc. If he has any chance of winning the World Championship this year, he basically has to win like pretty much all 3 races, ideally. Probably hoping that Max Verstappen DNFs 1 or 2. He's quite far behind. So yeah, Leclerc, this is kind of it right now. Like, there's no point waiting until Abu Dhabi at the end of the season. Leclerc needs to win races now. And with that motivation behind him, I do think he's still potentially a very good pick. He's on that qualifying streak as well. So I still think as a turbo driver, he's fine. If he still continues on this kind of sub 20 points trajectory that he seems to be on, Ferrari continue to be stubborn with their strategy, I do think that Leclerc not only might not be my turbo driver anymore, but he might not even be in my team anymore. So that's something to keep an eye on. But for the time being, I do think there's a lot of motivation for Ferrari and in particular Leclerc. I'm just going to touch on the other 2 drivers in my team before I move on to the next potential build that I'm looking at. Alonso, he's caused absolute chaos by moving to Aston Martin, and all this stuff with Piastri going on, rejecting Alpine. Like, it's become a big old meme basically, and that's what everyone's been talking about over the summer break. I do think Alonso's a good pick. I still think he's fine. Will Alpine start favouring Ocon? Will we start seeing that? I mean, even if they do, is Alonso going to step aside to let Ocon through on team orders? No, there's no way that's going to happen. So yeah, I do think Alonso's going to be still very competitive. He's got that good mental attitude that you need to compete well in these races. So I do think Alonso's still fine. Alpine competitive. Despite what's gone on in the summer break, Alonso fine. Yeah, bottom line, fine. Albon also kind of fits quite nicely in with my budget. If I didn't have Albon, I wouldn't be too displeased going down to like Latifi or even potentially doubling up on the Haas boys. Haas's could be competitive, particularly like I said. I've mentioned that it might be wet this weekend, and the Haas's across the season so far, when it has rained in general, have been pretty strong. So yeah, if you haven't quite got the same budget as me and you're just like $1 million short or something, I can definitely see dropping down to a Magnussen and doubling up there. I think that's fine. So I do really like the look of this team. If I'm not going to go for this team, then another option I can go is to kind of ignore the Hamilton pick this week and kind of go full. If we just undo this and kind of go full, kind of back to template in a way, which means going back to Leclerc. We can get rid of Albon, bring in Perez. So I could end up with a team like this. Norris as a turbo driver probably won't stay like that, but you never know. Norris, I do actually think Norris is going to do well this race, and we've seen the consistency from him going from practice into qualifying and into race pace. Throughout the season so far, he has been unbelievably consistent with that. So we'll keep a close eye on how he does in practice. I think before he had that big crash in Spa last year, and I know Spa was a complete washout, but I do think Norris was looking very speedy from what I remember, before he had that big crash, just like at the top of Eau Rouge or whatever. So yeah, I do think Norris is a little bit of a dark horse going into Spa this weekend. So I do think Norris is fine. Again, if you don't have the budget, if you're $1 million or so shorter than what I've got, then a team like this could be good. If you wanted to go kind of full template and bring back in the second Ferrari driver, I could be considering a team like this. This would be using up all of my substitutions to go to this. I think this team looks really strong, providing the Ferraris are going to actually, live up to the potential that they should be doing. But it does worry me going more than one Ferrari driver, just because I've completely lost faith in them. However, I do think this team looks very strong. Lance Stroll is like, Mr. Overtaken. He's got, let's just scroll across here. We can see in this column here, Lance Stroll, 96 points from, this column is including DNFs. So it differs ever so slightly to what's on the F1 Fantasy website, but he has claimed 96 points, which is, almost double the next person along. And coincidentally, the next person along for points gained is Lewis Hamilton. Another bonus point for him in terms of picking him in your team this weekend. Both the Mercedes driver looking strong because they're just so consistent, so reliable, finishing races, getting those overtake points, So yeah, another shout out to Hamilton. But yeah, I do like the look of Stroll as well because for similar reasons to Hamilton, apart from the fact that the actual Aston Martin car is pretty dire compared to the Mercedes. But they don't qualify well, the Aston Martins, but they are finishing races and they have got quite good race pace. So I quite like Stroll at this price point. If Aston Martin do look absolute rubbish and I just don't fancy Stroll, I can just get rid of him. Although I can't actually get rid of him. I've been locked in. He's in my team. Can't get rid of him anymore. I guess that's because I've made too many substitutions, I suppose. But so yeah, I guess I can return Norris if I really didn't like the look of Stroll. That gives me 10 million to free up, and I could look at someone like Bottas if Alfa Romeo looked good, or I could just go back down to someone like Schumacher or whatever. So a team like this, like just going back template, is very much within my considerations. And the template is also what I would consider if I was on the budget this weekend. So if I had like the 102 million, I would definitely be considering the template. It would probably mean, I need to come out of this so I can show you actually. Let's just discard this. So we look at the budget build. We'll clear all this away. If I can work out how to do it. True professional here, just like flailing around. Even with a budget build, I'd still go over Red Bull's Constructor. I still think that, you know, at 30 million, they're still very good value for money. I would probably go full template if I was on this budget. Carlos Sainz, and then that leaves me 15.6. So I'd probably end up with, I'm not sure if I can afford these two guys. Yeah, just about. Yeah, in fact, I've got 1.7 in the bank, so could even, yeah. So a team like this, if you're on a budget, this team costs, I can't work it out. I've got 102 million or 1.7 million, so this only costs just over $1 million. That seems like remarkably cheap, but yeah, you can afford a team like this, super cheap. So if you're on a really strict budget, if you've not been paying attention to what's going on with the price changes, I think going template is a very much safe way to do it. I don't think it's worth fitting in Lewis Hamilton to your team necessarily, unless you are one of those few people that may end up putting the Mega Driver on Lewis Hamilton, then fine, go for it. But I think if in general, if you've got a low budget, sticking to this kind of template, doubling up on the two best cars and then having the best enablers that you can afford at that price, I think this as a budget option is very strong. So to summarize, I like this team that's on my screen at the moment. With my budget, I can afford it quite comfortably. If I wanted to change up Norris to Carlos Sainz, if I was feeling a bit bolder with Ferraris, then I would quite happily do that. But then Lando Norris on this race streak kind of tips the balance a little bit for me in terms of Norris versus that dangerous double up on Ferrari. So I'm quite happy with Norris, and I could quite happily go with a team like this. The alternative would be Lewis Hamilton, and I am very tempted by Lewis Hamilton this week, can't lie. But we'll see what happens in the practice session to get a bit better of an idea, because, you know, it's been weeks since we had a race and we're kind of out of touch a little bit, and we need to see what's going on over there, see what developments are coming in, see what the weather's doing, see who's looking quick, and then I can decide, do I want to go with the Hamilton build, do I want to go with the more templatey build with something like this. So yeah, that wraps that up. I will say one last thing before I go. I am considering, now don't hold me to this, but I am considering doing like a deadline stream, like a live stream. I'm not the best person when it comes to technology, in case you hadn't already realized, but I will, you know, have a look at the potential streaming capabilities of that I have in front of me. So if anyone's interested in like a live stream going into like the qualifying deadline, I don't know how well it's going to work, but yeah, I don't know, because I may be very focused on making my transfers, but then making those like substitutions on live stream might be quite a good little bit of drama, and maybe get some of your guys' input in like the chat and everything. So I am considering it. I haven't really looked into exactly how to do it, and I'll probably be a complete and utter noob when it comes to it. But if you are, you know, looking for that sort of content, let me know if you're interested, because I'm kind of interested myself in dabbling in that sort of thing. And if it, you know, if it doesn't work, if it falls flat on its face, we'll probably have a good laugh at me failing to do it anyway. So anyway, yeah, let me know if you're interested in that, and I'll see you most likely Friday evening. Although if I am doing a live stream on Saturday, maybe I'll just hold the final thoughts video until the live stream. Or what I'll do is I'll have a little dabble during the week. It's only Tuesday at the moment. I'll have a little dabble at how to set up for a live stream, and if I get a good enough sort of response from you guys that you're interested in it, then I might just scrap off like the final thoughts video potentially and just do it all on like the Saturday afternoon. We've had all 3 practice sessions, and then I can like go straight in and make my substitutions, chat with you guys a little bit. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work exactly, because I've never done a live stream before, but it might be interesting. So yeah, thanks very much for watching anyway in this video. This has been my team selection video. Give it a like if you have liked it, and I'll catch you in a few days time, live or maybe not live, we'll see. Thanks very much, and bye bye.